And a very pleasant good evening from the Clarence T.C. Ching Complex here on the Manoa campus and the sand volleyball courts. It's Sunday night sand volleyball, and we're glad you could join us. Hi, everybody. Scott Robbs, Lisa Strand, Ma'a, and we've got a pair of matches for you tonight. One against California, another against Nebraska. That Nebraska match will be the second one of the evening, but there's a lot on the line. Both #1 flights from the schools will be going against each other, and the match is right now 2-2. Whoever wins that one will win the dual meet.
And we're talking about UH and Nebraska. That is, University of Hawaii number 4 and 5 teams lost earlier, which is tying up this dual match between UH and Nebraska. So that will be our 8 o'clock match this evening. And
then, of course, coming up first, though, will be Hawaii versus California. Now, Hawaii's already won the first 4 matches, so they've won that dual meet against California. But we're going to get to see the flight twos for both schools.
That's right. Katie Spieler and Olivia Urban are the number 2 ranked team for University of Hawaii, and they will be going against a freshman team. 2 freshmen, Emily Shults, a freshman from Georgia, as well as Bryce Bark from Palos Verdes, California. These two are brand new playing together, and it should be quite a spectacular matchup.
It's fun. It's sand. It's Sand Bows volleyball coming up next right here on OC Sports. And welcome back to the sand courts at the Ching Complex. Let's now welcome the 3rd member of our broadcast crew. Let's go sand side to Ryan Kalei-Suji.
Hey, thanks, Scott. We're here sand side where it's a comfortable 77 degrees here in Manoa. Perfect beach weather this evening. And you know, last broadcast we talked to you about some of the rules of sand volleyball. We'll get to that in a little bit. But another difference between the sand and the indoor is the lingo and the terms that are often used here in sand volleyball. We're going to share some of that with you. One of the first things you'll hear is cutty, and cutty refers to an attack shot that travels across the net at an extreme angle, often used when one blocker is up going to the sharp cross court. Pokey is a term that's used when a ball is contacted by your knuckles. In sand volleyball, you are unable to open head tip, so a pokey is necessary if you want to tip the ball over. Husband and wife, a term that's used indoors as well. That's when a ball lands between 2 players, often a lack of communication. Six-pack is another term that you'll often hear indoors as well. That is when a player actually gets hit in the face by a hard-driven ball. Believe it or not, folks, it does happen, and you'll hear that when there is no blocker up and you have your attackers is going up against an open net. Often communication very important in sand volleyball, especially when a player is attacking. We'll have more from you from the sand throughout the broadcast. Back to you guys.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ryan. Many may say that I've been six-packed a bunch of times. Let's give you a little sand volleyball one-on-one for those of you new to the sport. And here you see a team is composed of 5 doubles teams. There's 2 players on each team. Doubles teams are ranked 1 through 5 by their ability. Then in dual meets, there are 5 matches between equally ranked double teams, as is 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, and each doubles match victory earns 1 point. You need 3 to win a meet. Best 3 out of 5. Hawaii has already won 4 of the 5 against California today, and so Hawaii looking for the sweep against the Golden Bears of California. And there you see their head coach, Rich Feller, who's well known, I think, to Hawaii volleyball fans. He's been the longtime indoor coach for the Bears, 2nd year as the sand coach. This is only their 2nd season of sand volleyball at California.
That's right, brand new program, and according to Coach Rich Feller, it is a full-time. These athletes on the team are full-time sand volleyball players, although he says they have no scholarships as of yet. But this sport is just getting its start, Cal.
And Jeff Hall, of course, in his 1st year as the head coach of the sand program here at the University of Hawaii, came over from the men's volleyball team. He also now is the associate coach with Dave Shoji for indoor volleyball. The 2 teams will shake hands at the net. We'll get ready as we have a nice crowd on hand for a little sand volleyball on a Sunday night. The number 2s for Hawaii and California for Hawaii. It's number 22, Olivia Urban, and number 5, Katie Spieler for Cal. Number 1, Bryce Bark. Number 2, Emily Shults. And as you mentioned in the opening, both are freshmen for California.
Which is just amazing to be playing in the number 2 spot as freshmen.
Urban with the cross-court shot, dug up nicely in the back row. Schultz will take a shot at it, rolls it over, gets it to fall.
And Schultz seeing the court very well, a good set off the nets, and rolls it in for their first point.
There's Bryce Bark, a 6-foot freshman out of Palos Verdes Estates in California. She'll serve it over. Spieler will take a swing at it. She does. It's dug up, chased down by Schultz. Rolled over, dug up, and it gets into the back row. That was a nice play. We didn't see a lot of that on Wednesday against USC, first contacting it over the net.
Well, Katie Spieler has just been in this game for so long, and she sees the court so well. She is not going to play 3 if she doesn't have to for an easy point.
We do have to mention that Urban and Spieler yesterday reached the gold medal finals of the Queens Beach Tournament, losing to USC's Clace and Hughes, who are the Trojans' #1.
Yeah, and you know, they beat #1 Hawaii team to get into that final, and they played spectacular. And I have to say that USC's Clays will probably be on the next Olympic sand team.
They are really good,
incredibly impressed with her.
Clays and Hughes, keep those names in the back of your head for the Brazil Olympics. Bears with the early lead here in set #1. Spieler will bump it over again where nobody's at. And twice now we've seen Katie Spieler using her head. She is a scholar athlete and gets it down.
And Katie Spieler will be graduating this year as a junior. She is a scholar athlete because when she got to UH as a freshman, she was already a sophomore in college.
Shults to Bark. Bark tries to roll it, can't get it over the net. And another Hawaii point. Now, Urban and Spieler, aren't they roommates as well?
They are. They're roommates, and Urban also has a great story behind her. She's a Santa Rosa junior college player, had never played sand volleyball, and was recruited here to play sand volleyball.
Here comes Shults, dug up by Spieler. Spieler will take a swing at it. She does again find the open spot in the back row, so she's just nitpicking the defense of Cal so far here early.
Well, she's seen the court extremely well, and she's so experienced from either right or left side. She does that jumbo shrimp, as we call it, or a rainbow into the deep corner.
Jumbo shrimp, I like that. Here comes Hawaii offensively. Urban takes a swing at it, cross court, and she crushes the coconut. Let's take a look more at Sand Volleyball 101 for you. Double matches are best 2 out of 3. Rally scoring to 21. Set 3s to 15. Of course, you have to win by 2. Now, this is where it's kind of different. They switch sides every 7 points and every 5 points in the third set. The court is 52 feet, 6 inches by 26 feet and 3 inches. And we'll get to more Sand Volleyball 101 for you throughout this opening set. The nice dig by Spieler. Urban back to Spieler. Spieler tries to Cuddy, and Cuddy's it into the twine.
And Olivia Urban's sets are a little bit far off of the net. She can actually push Katie Spieler up, so Katie Spieler will actually see the court a little better. She's pushing her off, and she's losing her peripheral vision of the court.
Bark serves it over. Spieler with the bump set. The shot off the dig and out of bounds. Nice kill there by Olivia Urban.
And almost a 6-pack. No blocker up, and she just takes a full swing onto that ball, bouncing it off of Schultz's shoulder.
Katie Spieler will serve. The junior out of Santa Barbara floats it over, handled by the Bears. Bumped over to Schultz, cross court, dug up by Spieler. Urban, Spieler pushes it cross court, dug up, good chase down by Spieler and hustle. Will she be able to finish it? And she does. A nice roll shot.
And again, just a phenomenal play by Spieler, hustling to the deep corner. She gets up so quickly, and a much better set by Urban for Spieler on the transition play.
There you see Spieler, an AVC All-American in sand volleyball a year ago. Cross-court serve. Schultz serves it right on the end line. Spieler thought maybe it'd go long. It did not. Dropped on that black tape, and a point for the Bears.
And just catching any part of that ball that touches that tape, that's why they try to keep that tape line very clean so that they can call it immediately.
Schultz will serve, 5'7" freshman out of Roswell, Georgia. Spieler, one-on-one, gets it down the line. Good dig attempt by Schultz, but she can't do anything with it.
And Schultz, out of Georgia, like you said, really wanting to play sand volleyball, contacted Coach Rich Feller, sent him video after video, finally went to a camp up at his school and said, I want to come to the school and I want to play sand volleyball. And he said, she's so persistent and such a hard-working young lady. He said, all right, let's have you up here. Let's go.
I don't know how many people think of Georgia and sand volleyball in the same sentence, right?
Well, not very many, let me tell you.
Let's take a look at another kill by Hawaii down the left line. So UH has opened up a pretty good lead. 6th kill for Spieler. Urban will serve it over. Punched over, dug up by Spieler. Urban with the bump set. Spieler rolls and gets it to go over the net and down on the other side. So it's all Hawaii so far here in set number 1, up by 6. All right, let's now take a look at the Kaiser Permanente keys to the match, Lisa.
And for Cal, for Schultz and Bolt, Bark, excuse me, they just need to go all out. They're young. They have absolutely nothing to lose. This game is only going to better them in the long run. And for Spieler and Urban, I say they just got to work on executing their shots and stay focused on their side of the net, their game.
Alrighty, both teams back out on the sand after the break. Hawaii leads at 10-4.
And during that timeout, the Cal coaching staff talking to their players about being more disciplined on defense, having their feet set, as well as making stronger moves off the net.
Bark to Shults, cross court, dug up by Spieler. Urban with the bump set. Spieler punches it over, kept alive. Back over to Bark. Bark pushes it, but we get a net violation called on Hawaii. Bryce Bark, she comes from an athletic family. Her father, Andy, actually played in the NFL. He was a wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers.
And it's my understanding that they're hosting, they purchased a house on the North Shore, and they're actually hosting the Cal team at their home on the North Shore.
Nice. Urban, Spieler, cuts it cross court, gets it to drop.
Katie Spieler, I believe that's her 7th kill on the evening, and a much better set, a little closer, seeing the court very well. Both defenders completely back, and she is dinking them to death right now.
Lisa, what are some of the biggest differences or the differences between playing sand volleyball, let's say, as opposed to playing in the indoor game?
Well, there are so many huge differences, but one of the things I came across today in doing some math was yesterday alone, Katie Spieler had 74 kills in one day in the gold bracket. Olivia, her partner, had 53. As opposed to others, you don't get 74 kills in one indoor volleyball game.
No.
There's so many more contacts. You're responsible for every other ball is yours.
And think about it, they played USC on Wednesday. Then Thursday took a break because of the indoor match against Texas, which Nikki Taylor participated in. And then the last 2 days have been playing all day in the Queen of the Beach on Thursday, or actually on Friday at Queen's Beach, yesterday here on campus.
That's right, a long, long day. And they have the benefit tonight of playing in this cool air with the night lights on. Playing down at Queen's Beach is a phenomenal environment as well. But it's hot. You get, kids getting dehydrated playing back-to-back. It's a whole different element than this controlled environment here at the Ching.
One thing Danny Alvarez said to me, the volunteer assistant for Hawaii, that the winds are different at Queens and here as well. And it's more difficult at Queens than it is here.
Much more difficult. And going back to that, USC loves this type of environment. They do a great job. And again, taking a replay of Spieler up and over the block. She might be small, but I'll tell you what, she can work that ball around this court like nobody else.
Well, she's proven that, hasn't she? Here comes the push shot, kept alive by Hawaii, bumped over by Spieler into the back row where nobody's at. All righty. Well, let's take a look at a picture, Lisa.
Well, this is young Katie Spieler there on the right. There she was about 8 years old, and you talk about somebody growing up on the beach and playing the game every single day. That is true passion. Again, her size, you look at her and you don't think she's going to do what she does, but she's an incredible, hard athlete that has earned every bit of respect out here by every player.
And her mom is your sister.
Yes, this is true.
Which you told me you're 6 feet tall, but your sister's like 5'5" or something.
Yeah, she's 5'5", and she's Barbie.
Good rally going on right here between the two. Urban finally gets it off the block and down.
And that's a great rally. Give credit to Cal, really scrambling, playing a little bit better defense, putting a little bit more pressure on Urban and Spieler to transition.
Olivia Urban, the senior out of Novato, California. Gets to serve over, trying to handle his Cal. They can't. Another point for Hawaii.
And Urban, again, out of Santa Rosa Junior College, had never played sand volleyball, was recruited by Michelle Meyer, came out here unknown to help build this program as a pioneer of the program, and has really moved up. She played a number 4 and number 5 spot last year, and this year has moved into the number 2 spot with Katie Spieler.
The attack by Bark goes long, point for Hawaii. And we'll have a timeout on the sand. All Hawaii here in set number 1. Time now for the series record, sponsored by Aston Hotels and Resorts. Hawaii leads Nebraska 2-0, though that could change tonight. Coming up after this one, flight number 1's for the two schools to figure out who wins the dual meet. And Hawaii and Cal, their first meeting ever. So far, so good for Hawaii's number 2s of Urban and Spieler, up by 10 here in the opening set. Urban will serve. Hawaii going from our right to left now. Kept alive by the Bears. Dug up by Spieler. Urban chases it down. Spieler, good hustle. Pokies it into the back. Can you pokey from from being in the back? You don't have to, or is it only at the net?
You can pokey from anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere. Literally from anywhere.
And so far, it's been, you can see the experience that Urban and Spieler have playing on the sand as opposed to the 2 freshmen for Cal.
You really can, and that's their 7th straight point. And again, experience out here on the sand really shows. Again,
nice dig there by Shults. Let's see what Spieler does here. She takes a swing at it, cross court, gets it on the line.
and again, Katie Spieler just moving the ball around very well, seeing the defense on the other side, and just putting it out of their reach.
Hawaii 2 points away from taking the opening set. Remember, sand volleyball, it's up to 21. And best 2 out of 3. Line drive serve. Shults. Urban digs it. Spieler bump sets it. Back to Urban. Rolls it off the tape. Kept alive by Cal. They rat-a-tatted around. Free it over. Urban. Spieler. Down the left side. Good job. Once again by Katie Spieler. That's why she's an All-American.
That's exactly why. And she communicates. You hear her yelling or talking to her partner, Liv, saying straight up. She really communicates well, and Liv calling high line.
A year ago, Spieler teamed up with Nikki Taylor in the 2 flight. They got all the way to the quarterfinals of the pairs national championship. There's an ace. And that's how set number 1 will conclude as Spieler and Urban take care of business, easily taking the opening stanza.
OC Sports, presented on Oceanic Time Warner Cable, is sponsored by Bank of Hawaii and Kaiser Permanente.
Time now for the Mid-Pack Petroleum Leaderboard, and there you go. All-time winning percentage, Riggs and Rooks, 867. This is single-season pairs. Now, keep in mind, this all took place last year in 2014. Cook and Tiggs, they were 38-6, and you see down the line Ginger Long, Ali Longu, former indoor players, Spieler and Taylor, we talked about them, and Chow and Higgins. So, of course, last year Hawaii had just a tremendous season, making it to the national championships in Alabama, where they finished 3rd, and every flight was very good for UH.
It was, and you know, again, this game is so new, so these numbers are going to continue to change depending on who they're matched up against in the pairs. A little bit of judgment call, you know, if you're number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, each squad is going to be very, very different.
By the way, Hawaii winning that opening set 21-7. UH ended that stanza on a 10-0 scoring run.
And Cal struggling defensively with 6 digs, UH with 18. They say defense wins games. What do you think?
Yeah, no question. There you see Rich Feller talking to his players, and he's pretty laid back and loose. He understands what they're up against tonight, and you got 2 freshmen that hopefully will be, you know, be around for the next 4 years to help build this Bears program.
That's right. And in talking with Rich Feller, he says, you know, I'm the title, but my 2 assistant coaches really run the program for me. I'm full-time indoor, and I've scheduled my practices where I can be indoor and then come out and catch the last hour. But really, Megan Schmidt, who's his associate assistant coach, who was at LMU running their sand program, has come in and really is trying to grow their sand program. She was a libero for him years back.
Alrighty, so Hawaii will serve to begin set number 2. It'll be Katie Spieler back beyond the line, gets it over, we're underway. Shults cross court, dug up. Urban back to Spieler. Spieler, nice dig by Bark. Bark will punch it in the back row. 1-arm dig attempt by Spieler, got to the ball, but Urban couldn't chase it down after that.
And Spieler throwing it all out there, diving the 1-arm save, screaming at Liv to challenge and run that ball down, but she could just not get to the ball.
Spieler, nice receive, back to Spieler. Cross court, dug up by Shults. Schultz will see if she can put it over. She can't, goes into the twine. And a point for Hawaii.
And that was a great dig by Schultz. She had an opportunity to transition that ball and just could not get that point.
Hawaii, I'm sorry.
Oh, on the replay there, you see just in the top of the net.
Hawaii going for the 5-0 sweep of California here today. They've already won 4 flights. This is the final one of this dual meet between these two. There's the roll shot dug up over a pass. Spieler will bump it into the back row. We saw her do that a number of times in the first set, and it works here in set number 2.
And it will continue to work. You know, if the defense does not get back up and get back to what I call the home base, they're going to be shot to death. And those are easy points. It's an easy point for Spieler.
Urban serve into the net.
And that's her first service error. She's done very well from the service line tonight. She's had 2 service aces. And again, in game 1, she had 10 consecutive serves to close out that game.
How often do you see jump serving in sand volleyball?
Well, you do, and it really depends on the player and also the wind conditions. These 2 players are not big jump servers, but I love it when players get out there and jump serve. You really put the opposing team on the defensive mode from the get-go.
Hawaii won the opener 21-7. There's a shank of the receive, kept alive by Bark. Shults frees it over. Here comes UH. Urban, bump set, left side, cross court, cut shot, good by Spieler.
And Spieler almost putting on an exhibition match on how to move the ball around every shot she has made so far this evening.
I think anybody that they just looked and saw that, you know, on a roster, Katie Spieler 5'5", oh, come on, you know. But you watch the way she plays, and she's such a smart player.
Very smart.
Over line, one.
That serve goes long. All right, it's time now to take a look at how it works, presented by Central Pacific Bank.
And so here we see Liv Urban up at the net, number 22. She's right there circled for you. She starts at the net. She immediately pulls back and gets set because the hitter is not as big, and she really feels that blocking Emily Shults at 5'7" is not worth it. So she shows she's going to block, and then she stops and drops.
And that's how it works. Sponsored by Central Pacific Bank. Good job, Lisa.
Well, thank you. We got it. We got to educate.
Isn't that a nobody?
That's a nobody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Serve over by Hawaii. The one-on-one, the shot cross court gets down and in for Bark.
And there you see Olivia Urban committing on Bark because Bark is a bigger hitter, the set a little closer, so she does commit block against the 6-footer.
Shults serves it. Hawaii handles it. The cross goes up. Nice dig again by Shults. Bark back to Shults. Gets it to fall in the back row. California playing much better, maybe more relaxed here in the second set than in the opener.
Absolutely, and that's a great transition play. Shults digs the ball, and then she takes a sneak peek and goes in the deep cross court, or deep line, excuse me, for a point.
Don't forget, coming up after this flight number 1s of Hawaii and Nebraska with a lot on the line, as Nebraska and Hawaii are tied at 2 matches apiece, so whoever wins that nightcap tonight will win the dual meet.
And that's huge, as Hawaii was rated number 1 coming into this weekend.
The bump set, Shults dug up by Spieler. Urban will give it back to her. The cut to the left falls down on the sand.
And Spieler just having her way offensively, doing a nice job moving the ball all over the court, seeing the defenders again back on defense.
By the way, USC played Cal and Nebraska on Thursday and beat both those programs 5-love. So USC is the real deal. I think they'll probably be the new number 1 this week.
I have to agree with you. I think that they will be pulling out into that number 1 spot. And Dave Reardon had a great article in this morning's paper giving kudos out to the Sambos being ranked number 1, as well as the men's UH volleyball. 2 great highlights as far as number 1 ranked teams in the nation.
And he talked about how much volleyball means to the Hawaii community. No question about it. That serve a little deep. Spieler up near the net. Gets it to drop in the back row again.
And you know, it's kind of interesting that Cal continues to go after Spieler.
All righty, a close one here in set number 2 between Hawaii and Cal. All right, now let's take a look at Katie Spieler. She's been all over the place tonight for Hawaii.
Well, you know, she's shooting over on 1, and then she's shooting over on 2, and every once in a while, this young lady likes to go down high line, and then she likes to poke it deep into the corner. What else does Katie Spieler like to do here?
She likes to do everything, and she does everything well.
She does. She plays 1, 2, and 3 very well.
And she could easily be a Flight 1 player.
I can't agree with you more.
There's no question about it. Back to live action. Urban with the dig. Back to Urban from Spieler. She goes cross-court. Katsu.
And it's nice to see Liv attacking off that right front and really swinging at the ball and getting aggressive. And this is the biggest lead of this game so far. Hawaii starting to pull away.
UH won the opening set 21-7. Serve into the net. Second service error by Urban here tonight.
And this is where she really has to just dig deep and try to keep her side of the net clear.
Schultz' serve goes into the twine as well.
And that's her third service error on the evening. And that's the one thing I really think that Cal needs to do is serve a little tougher if they're going to stay in this match.
So Spieler will see if she gets it over. She does. Nice receive of the serve. Schultz, back row, dug up by Spieler. Urban chases it down. Spieler goes down the middle, dug up by the Bears. Bark takes a big swing. There's Spieler. Urban, back to Spieler. Off the hand of the dig of Bark, and it goes out of bounds.
And Bark trying to pull off the net, but doesn't quite get set. Bark trained under the known of Holly McPeak at Elite Volleyball, one of the many sand volleyball clubs, I should say, on the mainland that now run.
Second attacking by Cal. Hawaii gets it over. Punched over and down nicely by Bryce Bark.
And Bryce Bark doing a good job, number one off of the first block, and then seeing the court and just doing a nice little cutty.
She was doing her best impression of Katie Spieler.
Yeah.
Right there.
Mixing it up.
Yeah. Spieler the bump set. A little tight, but reaching up with the right hand and tapping it down easily is Urban.
And interestingly enough, Cal going after Urban, thinking maybe they will change it up. They've got to do something because Spieler has been sighting out so well.
Urban Spieler looks so much more comfortable tonight than what we saw on Wednesday against USC. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
There's a nice roof. The block by Urban. So Urban gets the block, and the two teams will switch sides, and Hawaii now beginning to get a little separation from the Bears. And you see a smiling Jeff Hall right there. He should be happy with the way things have gone so far. His flight number 2 won the opening set 21-7. And are trying to make it a 2-0 sweep of Cal here tonight. Back to action. Urban serves it over. Hitting it over Bark, but dug up by Spieler. Spieler rolls it, and it gets into the bottom of the net. Can't negotiate it over the twine.
And it's a great idea, but again, the set a little bit off the net, so when you get underneath that ball, your peripheral vision gets completely lost. You're tracking the ball up instead of into the court.
Let's see what Urban does right here. She takes a big swing, dug by Schultz. Schultz will tap it over, diving dig by Spieler, off the net, played by Urban, freed over by Hawaii. Nice job by the Rainbow Wahine. And that attack goes wide.
And you know, she's trying a little too hard. She overhit that ball out, but Spieler on, again, another great defensive move. Sends it into the net, but Liv rescues it.
Spieler serves. Bark, Schultz, and got a piece of the block attempt of Urban that fell down in the back row. Now, you talked about how many kills Katie Spieler had over the weekend. How many digs does she have, do you know?
Off of this weekend? Yeah, I do have it.
70-something kills.
It was just amazing.
Digs take a lot out of you as well.
Yeah,
oh, there's an ace.
She had 68 digs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how many contacts you do in this game.
I'm pretty sure if you play sand volleyball after a meet or a tournament, you sleep well that night.
And you know what? The whole coaching staff, all the players, all the refs, everybody here, even Cal, will sleep great. This has been a very long week for all of these athletes out here. A lot of sand volleyball.
Is that unusual to play so much volleyball in this period of time?
Well, I think they're just taking advantage of the spring break situation, you know, and getting in as many matches as possible.
Hawaii has begun spring break. There's a joust at the net, kept alive. Spieler knocks it over. Here come the Bears. It's rolled over by Bark. Spieler, she gets it down the line into the back row where nobody's at.
I'm talking about a lot of matches. Cal Berkeley has already played 6 duels this season already and competed in 1 pairs competition in Northern California.
And for Hawaii, I guess if you count Nebraska and Cal after tonight, they will have played 7.
That's right. It's a lot of competition fast.
All righty, that shot goes long. Hawaii closing in on the sweep of the Bears up here in set number 2.
Welcome back here to the University of Hawaii Clarence T.C. Ching Field. Taking a look here at Mackenzie Feldman. She's actually a member of the Cal Volleyball Sand team, a graduate out of Punahou High School. And the team actually stayed with the Feldmans for a few days before migrating to the North Shore. Feldman also a teammate, a former teammate of Claire Maureen Anderson, who's redshirting for the Hawaii Sand team. So two teammates connecting here on the beach. Back up to you guys.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ryan. I think in the volleyball community, there's like 1 degree of separation. If you don't know that person, you know somebody that knows that person, right?
It's so true.
Here comes Cal. They're on the offense. The bump set to Bark, who gets it off of Spieler. A rare non-dig by Spieler.
Yeah, and you know what? She's sitting in the right place, and that's definitely a great block up there by Liv, channeling the ball right into Spieler's arms, and Spieler just not quite able to defend that one.
Spieler with the bump set to Urban. Urban cross court, hits it wide. Was aiming for that black tape and just missed.
Just wide. And Shults, you know, who was previously a gymnast before high school, noticing how she is now serving Urban.
Oh, we have something in common. Here comes the serve. You didn't react to that, Lisa. Here comes Urban. She takes a whack at it, hits it long again.
And you know, the golden rule on that one, somebody makes a mistake, guess where they're going to serve it next?
Right.
Right back at her.
So Cal much more competitive in this second set than they were in the opener. Urban, Spieler. The roll shot doesn't land in. No, that one is out as well. So struggling is Olivia Urban trying to get it inbounds. We'll take a break. We'll have more here from Manoa. Bears making it interesting here in the second set on a 4-0 scoring run to cut the deficit down to a pair. There you see Hawaii easily winning the first set. Back to serve. There's number 2, Emily Shults out of Roswell, Georgia. Urban for Hawaii, bumps it over to Spieler. Spieler gets it on the line. There's a point that breaks the run by the Bears.
And that breaks the run. You know, they're going after Olivia Urban, and then they serve Spieler. So that's a freshman move, if you will. They keep it on the player that they're scoring the points off of.
Spieler serves. Good serve. Bumped up to Shults. And maybe a little communication breakdown. Urban jumped up and decided not to go for the ball, thinking Spieler might get it in the back row.
And definitely a little communication, a deep middle court shot.
Bark serve. Urban. Spieler close to the net. It's a tight set and a block by Bark. I think that's the first block of the night we've seen from California. And it is. So the two teams now will switch sides. Let's take a look at that block again, Lisa.
And Bark, a really tight set, especially for Katie Spieler, listed at 5'5" against Bark up there at 6 foot. That set a little too tight for Spieler to handle.
Yeah, nothing she could do about that one. Hawaii wants to close this one out now. Here comes Urban, cross court off the dig, and it flies into the stands.
And Urban taking a full swing, and again, Shults not able to handle the speed behind that ball.
7th kill there for Urban tonight. And that one helps Hawaii out a bit. 2 points away are the Rainbow Wahine, leading by a pair. Urban cross-court serve. Bark to Shults. Shults goes for the back row. Nice one-arm dig by Spieler, who frees it over. Will Cal be able to take advantage of it? They cannot. I think Bark had the right idea, just couldn't get it over the net.
And this is some fabulous defense by Katie Spieler and Liv Urban, turning around and sending it straight up for, again, yet game point.
All righty, it is match point as well for the University of Hawaii Rainbow Wahine, leading at 2017. There you see Jeff Hall. He's had a busy week because not only did he have to take care of sand volleyball duties with the Sambos, but he had to make an appearance Thursday indoors when Hawaii took on the University of Texas in that spring friendly. And Hawaii, of course, beating the Longhorns in 4. And Dave Shoji, I saw earlier, was around here somewhere hanging out and watching the Sambos as well. And your thoughts, though, on what you've seen Wednesday and then tonight as well from Hawaii?
Well, it's pretty spectacular. Number one, this facility is beyond beautiful. I would encourage everybody to come out and take a look at this venue because it's growing and it's going to continue to grow. The teams that have come down, fabulous. It's just amazing that USC, you know, the Nebraskas, the Cal Berkeleys, LMU earlier in the season. It's a great venue.
And there you see the head coach of the Rainbow Wahine, Dave Shoji, hanging out with a Pakalani Bello, and there's his wife Mary in the background. You saw Ryan Kalesuji as well, and you know, he shows up at every event. I see him, you know, I walk by the tennis courts and he's watching a tennis match, or he's at softball, baseball. I mean, he's just a sports nut. He
is a sports nut like you can't believe. And, you know, he might be recruiting. You never know. You know, you can always have a few more players that can contribute to the indoor team as well. One interesting thing about that is if you're on a SAN scholarship, you cannot go and play indoor volleyball, which is a really interesting rule.
Alrighty, it's match point for the Rainbow Wahine. Liv Urban will go back and serve it for Hawaii. Gets the serve over. Shults over to Bark. Bark takes the big swing and puts it down.
Critical swing for Bark, doing a nice job off of that first pass, actually swinging behind her. Keeping them alive in this second game.
It remains match point for Hawaii, though the Bears will be serving at this time. Shults' serve popped over. Rolls it over. Dug up. Back to Bark. Bark rolls it into the back row. There's Spieler. Urban to Spieler. Spieler cuts it. It's dug up. Nice job by Cal. And then getting it off the hands of Spieler is Bark. And Cal's not ready to go home quite yet.
You know, Olivia Urban had a chance to swing away, and she chose a shot. She's got to remember sometimes she is the big girl, and when there is nobody, she may as well take a full swing at that ball.
This is important for Cal right here because you have to win by 2. Hawaii's up by 1. Spieler will free it over and gets it to drop, and Hawaii survives in set number 2, taking it by the score of 21-19 after winning the opener 21-7.
And that's a great second ball over. You know, why keep playing 3 when you can win the game on an over on 2?
Yeah, that's right. Alrighty, so Hawaii wins it in 2 over Cal, and they sweep the Bears 5-0 in the dual meet. We'll have more when we come back.
Welcome back here to the Clarence T.C. Ching Complex, where Hawaii in straight sets over Cal. I'm joined now by head coach Jeff Hall. Jeff, overall, what were your thoughts about that matchup that we just saw?
Oh, it was just, I think our kids were ready to play. You know, Katie and Olivia prepped for this, and they executed real well. They served and passed really well. So that's really the name of the game, and just real proud of their effort.
Well, we all know that Katie Spieler is an All-American, but she really was putting on a show with her shot selections. Talk to us about how significant her role is and really the type of player that she is.
Well, I mean, Katie's a special player. You only get those once in a while. And for us, what I like about Katie is she does that every day. She does that on a Tuesday afternoon practice. You know, she's every play, every touch matters to her. And then it shows in a big match. You know, she's real cagey, and it's really hard to get a beat on her. And obviously, that's why she's winning.
And obviously, these two fairly new partners together. What are your overall thoughts about the partnership thus far into the season?
So far, so good. You know, again, I said this before, they're best friends. You know, that's some chemistry issues that are awesome. There's things they got to work on, you know, and we'll address those in the practice court and see if they can get a little better.
We're getting ready for the next matchup. What can fans and the viewers anticipate for this next match with Nebraska?
It'll be a very physical game. You know, Nebraska has some really nice athletes, especially at the 1 here. You know, they just have some physicality and some beach savvy. You know, their small is really good. She's from Southern California, played a lot of tournaments. Actually, her and her dad and I played a lot together back in the day. But she's been around the game a long time, so they're just really, really savvy. They're not going to give away points, so we have to earn them. So it's going to be a good matchup.
All right, Jeff Hall, thank you very much. Best of luck to you. We got a lot more coming up here from Manoa as we will talk to some of the players as well as preview the next match between Nebraska and Hawaii. What's a beautiful night here in Manoa as we are continuing on in our beach, or excuse me, sand volleyball coverage, joined now with Katie Spieler and Olivia as well. And Katie, first off, I want to talk to you. Talk about that first matchup with Cal and just your overall thoughts of the outcome.
It was really fun to play Cal. They're a great team, and yeah, we haven't played them too much, so it was fun to come out strong and dominate. Our 4 other teams had previously played, so we knew we had won that duel, so we just wanted to work on some stuff in our partnership, and it was a good opportunity for that.
And Olivia, you guys have been having a lot of competition, been playing a lot of matches. Overall, how do you feel? It's been a long week for you guys.
We're definitely a little tired, a little fatigued. It's a lot of volleyball, but we have tomorrow off, hopefully. Then we hit the road on Tuesday, and we have a full weekend ahead of us. So lots more volleyball to come.
And talk to us a little bit about that matchup yesterday that we saw, because you guys actually played up against some of your teammates in the gold medal bracket. Is it difficult whenever you have to play Brittany as well as Nikki?
I think we just have a lot of fun. Like, either way, we're going to be happy. It's our team playing against our team. Of course, we'll be competitive, but, I mean, you can't be upset if you lose to your teammates. Like, we just make each other better. So it's a lot of fun.
And Katie, final question for you. We obviously know that you guys are really close. What is it like, this experience playing with your roommate and one of your closest friends?
It's awesome. I think the best part is she's a senior, so it's her last year, and we've always loved playing together. So to get this chance to do it in season is awesome, and we want to go for the long road and go for a national championship this year. So we're excited.
Well, best of luck. Thank you guys very much for taking time to talk to us, and congratulations on the match. We'll send it back up to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Ryan. Enjoyed that as Spieler and Urban defeat Cal 21-7, 21-19. One thing about Katie Spieler, she's only 5'5", but you can tell the experience of having grown up on the beach, and you watch all the different ways she knows how to score. The experience, that's something you can't teach.
Definitely not. You can't teach that experience, and when you've done it as long as she has, then it shows right here in matches like this.
You know, you look at Spieler, and she just finds where all the open spots are. You know, that's vision. You hear that in sports all the time, but her vision is so outstanding that she's able to see where nobody's at, and she's also able to get the ball over the net and into that spot where she wants it.
That's right.
And how about Olivia Urban? Urban, she was terrific as well.
You know, and Olivia Urban, we got to give her a lot of credit. Again, she has not played a lot of sand volleyball, and she's a big, strong girl, and she is doing a fabulous job. The last few seasons, she played number 4 and number 5. This year, she's playing number 2, and sometimes I think this team could actually be the number 1. Again, 1 and 2 going back and forth, but Liv Urban doing a fabulous job and really playing excellent.
And you can see how Urban and Spieler are best friends, they're roommates, and that camaraderie, it shows on the sand.
Well, a lot of that comes from just having trust. You know, you have it's like any other relationship. You trust that person. You're going after the same goals. It's just about trying to communicate those goals and working together, not getting frustrated, staying in it, working together for the same common, for the team, actually.
Well, we're upstairs in the grandstands of the Clarence T.C. Ching Complex, overlooking the beautiful sand volleyball courts. Hawaii and Cal are now pal. Hawaii won all 5 matches, but coming up next, it's Hawaii and the University of Nebraska, flights number 1, and this is the McDonald's game summary. This is how things have gone so far. The Huskers won flight number 5 in 2. And then in flight number 4, they pulled it out in 3. And that was a real surprise. The Huskers were up 2 matches to none. In flight number 3, though, Hawaii rebounded behind Brown and Rooks and easily took care of business, 21-11, 21-11. And then in flight 2, it was Urban and Spieler being pushed to a 3rd set, but they won it 15-10. So both programs have won 2 matches apiece tonight. This final one between the number 1s for both schools will determine who overall is the winner.
And this is going to be a very physical matchup here. You see Brittany Teagues there on your left, and Nikki Taylor, who's had the longest week of her life. I'm absolutely positive, being talked to with volunteer assistant coach Danny Alvarez, who has actually done a phenomenal job with the Sandbows in his volunteer work. And again, there's Nebraska getting ready for their matchup.
Yep, you've got on the left, number 12, Alicia Ostrander, and then number 4, she's not very big, Justine Wong-Arantes, but she is outstanding. She's almost like their Katie Spieler, if you will.
She is. She's a 5'6" junior libero, but you know what? She's played a ton of sand volleyball, and she was the youngest player in the California Beach Volleyball Association at age 12 to earn a AAA rating, and guess what? She was playing with Summer Ross. And for those of you at home that don't know who Summer Ross is, she's a phenomenal professional beach volleyball player who's going after possibly playing in the Olympics.
And they're coached by John Cook, who is, of course, the longtime successful indoor coach for the University of Nebraska. A little different between Cal and Nebraska. The Cal players are strictly sand volleyball players, but both these players also play indoors for the Huskers for John Cook.
And John Cook, 14 years, you know, his big quote is dream big. And this guy has went down to Nebraska and has changed their indoor program like you would not believe. We think we have big crowds here. Oh my goodness. Nebraska, the longest sellout streak in NCAA women's history. They've had 200 consecutive sellouts at their games.
I've been to Nebraska for women's volleyball. Let me tell you, it is impressive. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have more. It's Hawaii versus Nebraska.